Hello everybody and welcome to this Harry Potter TCG Revival stream. Sorry I'm a bit late, I actually spilled water all over the floor just 1 second before starting. So be careful with your water glasses, folks. Yeah, so today, if you're not familiar, last time I streamed, we played the first match of a tournament in Harry Potter TCG Revival format. And today I'm going to be playing my second match. That's going to be in about 13 minutes. But before that, I'm going to do a small recap of what happened in the previous match. So let me bring up untap.in. So our opponent last week was a guy called Elder, and he beat us 2-1 with this owl deck, and he basically exposed the weakness that I was worried about, which is a weakness to a lot of small creatures that are played early on, because we have trouble getting rid of them all and they start doing damage early and we can't get rid of all of them. I'm going to show you my deck as well after this one, so you can see why my deck has issues with this. But yeah, I wanted to just showcase this deck because I think it's a cool deck, and then also talk about like how can you deal with this. So it plays Draco Malfoy as Draco Malfoy Slytherin as a starting character, which gives you an extra action the first time each turn that you play an item card. So it's playing some lessons, 11 care of magical creatures and 9 Quidditch. When it comes to the exact count of lessons, it seemed in the match at least that a lot of the time, despite us being a lesson destruction deck, maybe he had a few too many, but I'm not going to judge that right away. I mean, he's played a lot with the deck, so I don't know, but it's something that maybe could be tuned. But let's not focus too much on the lessons. So the idea of this deck is you have a lot of little nice items that you can play, like Quidditch Through the Ages and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, that can be discarded to draw cards. But they also provide power when they're in play. So when you play them, they're sort of like a lesson. And then he's also playing Guide to Household Pests, which is also provides a power, requires 2 power, and you can discard it and use an action to discard it to do 4 damage to a creature. Then there is this one, Quaffle. So when you play that one, you can take a match from your deck, show it and add it to your hand. And this one requires 3 power and provides 1 power. And then there is Bludger, which is just an item that requires 4 power and it deals 3 damage to our opponent before our turn if we have a match in play. So the Quaffle can search out a match, the Bludger can deal damage if there is a match in play. So, of course, because we're Draco, as early as turn 2, we can start getting extra actions from playing items. So we're able to put a lot of stuff on the board quickly, which is really nice. In my last match, that meant that it was hard for me to get rid of things faster than he was able to play them. Yeah, it was easy to get overwhelmed and we really had to focus on destroying the right targets. So this Quaffle can get the match card, which is Muddy Practice. Most match cards are won by dealing a certain amount of damage, but he's playing Muddy Practice, which can only be won by using an action 5 times to discard a card from your hand, which nobody will want to spend that much time doing that only to deal 10 damage. So essentially, this is a match card that you just put in play that probably won't leave play by being by someone winning the match. And so if your opponent wants to get rid of it, they probably had to play a spell to get rid of the card. So it's the most safe card, or safe match, sort of, the one that's hardest to get rid of. And combined with Bludger, that means that the Bludger is more likely to keep dealing damage because the Muddy Practice will stay on the board. So that is one part of it. But the other part is all of these owl cards. So a part of these owl cards is you have Tawny Owl, which requires 3 power, and a lot of the owls require 3 power. That in this one, when you play it, you can get an item back from your discard pile. So you have a wide array of items in the deck, as just shown, and then you can get them back with Tawny Owl. So you have sort of a toolbox of things that you can get with this. If you take damage, things can also be discarded to your discard pile, and it means it's very easy to find the things you need. If the Quaffle is discarded and you don't have a match, you can play the Tawny Owl, get the Quaffle, then play the Quaffle and get your match, and so on. So there's a lot of value in the cards you play, that they give you other cards when you play them. You get extra action from Draco when you play the items, and then you have a toolbox of things that search out what you want. So kind of a cool idea. And because he's playing this owl, he's also playing a lot of other owls, because he wants to play this Owl Emporium. So there's Screech Owl that gets lessons back, Barn Owl that can discard one of your Care of Magical Creatures lessons from play to get a creature from your discard pile. You have Hedwig, which is way above his power curve, but has a very powerful ability of getting any non-healing card back from your discard pile. Hermes, which can get a spell back, but you have to discard a Care of Magical Creatures lesson from play, but still a good ability. And again, because he has a lot of lessons and also the ability to get back lessons, it's not that hard to have to discard lessons. Errol just puts, if your top card is a lesson, you can put it into play. Otherwise, you put it back on top of your deck. So that's a unique owl. So all of these are owls. They always deal 1 damage and have 1 health, except Hedwig, who has 2 health. And the Owl Emporium is a location that gives your owls 1 more health and 1 more damage. So makes all your owls beefier. And yeah, given the fact that the owls give you something when you play them, that's they become pretty valuable for their cost once you have this in play. So it's a kind of cool way to make use of the owls, and you have a lot of resilience to cards that discard your stuff, because your owls can pick up stuff that was discarded. And also it means your discard pile becomes sort of a toolbox where you could fetch cards that you want to play again. And also he's playing some spells here. Vanishing Referee as tech against character decks. And this one is probably the most important one, Fouled. So 4 copies of Fouled. It's I talked about it before on the channel, which is incredibly powerful spell. But even more so in the Revival format than in the Classic or my Classic-ish House format, because it's way harder to play characters in Revival, because you can't play Ron Weasley in Revival. So unless you have something on the board that lets you play characters cheaper, they always cost 2 actions. It's still possible to get a character action count discount, but it's harder. So playing a card like Fouled that lowers the amount of actions your opponent has for 1 turn, also dealing damage at the same time, it can mean both that your opponent won't be playing characters on their next turn, and also that they won't be playing adventures. So for this reason, Fouled is even more powerful in this format. And this deck also has ways to get Fouled back with Hedwig and Hermes. So really cool idea. That's basically the entire deck and what we got destroyed by last time. Yeah, let's recap on our deck. So we're playing this McGonagall Lesson Destruction deck that was shown on the channel previously. And I won't go over all the cards because I've done it so many times, but you can check that out in the last stream, or you can also check the McGonagall deck on the channel. But basically, we play a lot of lessons, we play a lot of cards that discard lessons and discard cards in general in our deck. And then we we use that to slow our opponent down, disrupt them, get rid of their key cards, and then we use creatures to finish them off. Now, the problem is against decks that play these small creatures, we sort of get overwhelmed. We don't have a way to discard a lot of small creatures at the same time, so it's very possible for us to lose there. One card that we probably really should have in our sideboard that we don't, that I kind of mentioned on the last stream, is Drawing the Sword. Because this one, you can only play it if you have a Gryffindor, Wizard, or Witch in play, but because we're McGonagall, we are already starting with a Gryffindor, Witch in play. And this one simply deals 6 damage divided as we choose to among any number of creatures. So it makes it easy to get rid of a lot of creatures, and especially a lot of small creatures. So a perfect sideboard card to deal with our kind of Achilles heel, and maybe that could shore up our main weakness with this deck. There are also other Revival decks that play a lot of small creatures. So this seems like a really good idea to have in your sideboard, because otherwise we don't have much of an answer against these decks. Another thing you could do is, last stream I was talking about how Outpost, which was a very improvised replacement for Dobby's Disappearance, not the most powerful probably. The Outpost could probably be more creatures instead. I was thinking Black Bat, because it means that if you're facing another creature deck, then you are in the race with them earlier on. You start playing the Black Bat and you are both dealing damage to each other, instead of you just being the one taking damage until you finally get to your really expensive spells at 7 power, where it may already be too late to start discarding your opponent's stuff. So Black Bat would be maybe a nice way to be a bit of a faster deck. And Outpost, it hasn't been terrible so far, but I don't think you need to be playing 4 copies. You could probably get away with fewer copies. Another idea I have for later, but that's for another tournament, is to split, is to play more power types in this deck. We're playing 28 Care of Magical Creatures lessons, but we could be playing 14 Charms and 14 Care of Magical Creatures, for example, and thereby unlock a bunch of powerful Charms cards. Borrowed One, for example, was one I was thinking about that could get us where we want to get faster in terms of power. It could be a cool idea, although a lot of people are putting hate against items in their sideboard, so maybe it's not so worth it, especially if we ourselves want to be playing a card like Table Trouble in our sideboard that discards all items in play, which is another way we could deal with an owl deck or something similar. But it's something to consider. There may be a lot of other Charms cards that could be good in our deck. Now, I think, yeah, those were most of the thoughts that I have so far on this. And my opponent should be here very soon. I'm going to take a really short break, and I'll be back when we're starting the match. So hope to see you there, and good luck to me. See you soon. All right, and we are back for the game of first game of today. Let me just adjust this camera. It's too far down. That's better. All right, so we have our opponent here. Yeah, so we decide to go with high roll d20. Okay, looks like he gets the start. He's playing Angelina Johnson, giving him an extra match before his turn if there's a match in play. I have a deck with her on the channel, but his might be very different, I don't know. All right, so we get to think about if we want to keep this hand or not. And I gotta think about this. Because our hand, it has a good amount of lessons. Also some cards we can play early on. It doesn't have the very best cards, because we would like something like picking on Neville to get rid of his match, maybe. But I think if we get a decent amount of lessons, we should take it, because it means we'll get rolling on time. We should eventually find our stuff, so I'll keep. We'll see if that bites us in the ass. And also interesting to see if this is an Angelina deck that only plays Quidditch. Of course, you have to play Quidditch to play the matches. But you could play another lesson type as well. All right. So we draw a card for the turn. And we pass back to him. So he didn't get a match, which is great news for us. Means his starting character is blank for now. And the longer it stays like that, the more likely it is we'll win this one. Another Quidditch. And now he has a match, unfortunately. So I guess he top decked that one. So we draw a card for the turn. But we have something that can get rid of his match, Scribbly Force. So we'll just get more lessons out. And eventually we'll get to 7 where we can play the Capybara and the Scribbly Force. We also have some lost notes in the meantime to maybe delay him a little bit. So now he gets a third action from Angelina. And I haven't seen this one see a lot of play. The Rainy Day match. So it's 1 when someone has dealt 9 damage, and then you can heal yourself 6 if you win the match. So he played one of the new brooms, Comet 290. This one provides 1 power, and when it's discarded from play, you draw 3 cards. You can discard it yourself by playing another broom and then get 3 cards. So we drew Invisible Ink. We do want to get to Scribbly Force range as early as possible. But we could also play Lost Notes this turn. And I hope we get a lesson from the top of our deck. Looks like he's looking to get to a lot of power. Yes, the question is if we want to draw for that lesson or no. I think maybe a good idea to try to get into Scribble Force next turn, so we can keep Angelina from happening. So I'll draw one extra. Play Care of Magical Creatures. Now we're not guaranteed to get a lesson because we didn't get one on the last turn. On this draw. But if we do get one, we can play Scribbly Force next turn. So he's drawing first action, and he has 2 more because he's Angelina. Playing a lesson back to us. So he's really building up to something here. We draw a card for the turn. Okay, it's Owl Post. So if we play the Owl Post, we certainly get to 7 on our next turn. Because we are very likely to draw a lesson then. Or we could play 2 Lost Notes. Start setting him back a little bit. That could be good as well. Not that easy. So he's at 1-4, he's on 8 power. There are some nasty cards you can start playing at 10. I don't know if that's what he's going for. And if we play the Lost Notes, we'll delay that for a while. So I think we'll try that. And we pass. Actually, maybe second one should have been Outpost. Sad face. Yeah. But we still need to find another lesson here. So he's playing a lesson. Yeah, first action is lesson. And then something. Oh, so he's discarding his broom. And he's going to draw 3 more cards. So he's playing a broom, discards the old one. This new broom says whenever one of your item or spell cards that need Quidditch power does damage, that's 2 more damage. Making his spell cards a lot more powerful. So that's cool. Okay, third action, he's playing Rescheduled Match. So it says, discard a match in play, then you may put a non-healing match from your discard pile into play. But he can't bring it back as he wants to because it's a healing match. Okay, so he discards his own Rainy Day and deals 5 damage to me. That seems like a mistake because now he won't get the extra actions. next turn, so we don't have to worry about that for now. What did we lose? Yeah, we lost the care of magical creatures, among other things. So we'll draw a card for the turn. Oh, it's not a lesson. So it's not what we wanted it to be. So we have to draw. So we play the outpost to draw, and we'll draw 3. And this is nice. We can play Picking on Neville on the broom. That's bothering us. Because that extra damage is scary. So now he has to choose if he wants to get rid of 2 lessons or the broom. And I think he has to get rid of the broom. But I'm not sure. No, he's choosing to get rid of lessons instead. Okay. And then we pass to him. But we have more Picking on Neville. So this is looking fine. So his first action, he plays Hogwarts Quidditch robes. Let's see what it does, because it's a revival card and I'm not used to those. So it says, at the end of each of your turns, if you played a Quidditch card, you may put 1 non-healing card from your discard pile on the bottom of his deck. So he put a card on the bottom of his deck, but I didn't see which one. I think it's a lesson. Rescheduled match. Okay. So we will draw a card for the turn. And now we can finally interact with him here in a very meaningful way. So we can play this Care of Magical Creatures, and we can play Scribbly Force on the Nimbus and the match. So we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So now he has to choose one of these that he gets back into his hand. The other one is discarded. So I think things are looking good now, because we are in the driver's seat. We're starting to control him. And so he does put the broom back, but he doesn't have enough power to play the broom anymore. So we are very okay with that. Because I think we can stop him from ever getting to enough power to be able to play the broom now. Which is great. And we can also start playing our capybaras. So his first action is a Quidditch lesson. Second is a bludger, but a bludger doesn't deal damage if there is no match in play. And he's gonna heal putting a card back on the bottom of his deck. A broom, apparently. So we draw for the turn. And yeah, there are a lot of options now. We can start playing creatures, but we could also play this lesson and play Invisible Ink, which I think is really strong now, because we're not in a rush to play the creatures. So we discard 2 lessons. And this also means we have Diffindo and Picking on Neville for a match. All right, so we pass back to him. It's looking very nice, because we're keeping his character blank right now. As long as we do that, we keep him off power. He can't deal a lot of damage to us. He's playing Fred and George Peters. It says, before each of your turns, if you have a Quidditch item in play, do 2 damage to an opponent. Okay. That is something we can get rid of. So we'll draw for the turn. But maybe we don't have to get rid of it right away. I think we can just put these capybaras on the board, and that represents more damage per turn than that. So we play a Capybara, we get a card, and another Capybara, and get one more card. So now, now every turn we're dealing 6 damage with the Capybaras. So we'll take 2 from the beaters. He has a good position now. He's playing another match. And he's putting a lesson on the bottom of his deck with the Quidditch ropes. And then he's passing. So we're gonna draw. And he's gonna take 6. So first action I think we'll be picking on Neville, and we'll see if he actually, maybe we don't even want... I'm wondering if we want to discard this match or not. Because if we win the match, we'll get the prize. But if we play picking on Neville on something... Yeah, I think we don't want to risk it, probably. If it stays in play and Bludger and the beaters stay in play, that's 5. I'm not sure. So time to think again. Well, we can play the picking on Neville and see if he wants to save the match. And if he does, by discarding 2 other cards, we can probably win the match by playing Defendo on something else. So we play the picking on Neville on the match. And he lets it get discarded. I think then we just play a Capybara, which gives us a card. And we pass back to him. So we're going to take 2 from Fred and George. We might just leave them on the board because they don't deal enough for us to be that worried. And as long as we're controlling his match, we're not taking damage from the Bludger. So the Defendos should target the matches that he plays. So he just drew cards. I'll draw for the turn, and he'll take 8 damage. 8 damage, yes. So I play a Capybara and get a card. And I think we just play another Capybara, get another card. And then we pass to him. We're drawing a lot of creatures this game. So I'm going to take 2 from the beaters. He's playing a lesson. So at this point we're dealing 12 each turn. So we should win in 2 turns, unless he does something about it. Let's see, this Comet 260 is a broom that lets him prevent 1 damage on each of his opponent's turns. That's okay. And then he heals with the Quidditch ropes. So we'll draw for the turn. Yeah, I believe we just put more things on the table. Put a Capybara and maybe get rid of something with Defendo. We can look at his discard pile to get an idea of what kind of things he plays that could deal damage to us. So, okay. Yes, so this one can deal 5, the new Slytherin Seeker, and it requires 6 power. There's Rogue Bludger, but that's damage per turn, so it's like a creature. But it also requires 8 power. And that's all I'm seeing right now. So maybe we just didn't discard the other damage spells, but it looks like there aren't that many damage spells in the deck. Could be a mistake to think that, but... So we're dealing 12 now. If we play the Capybara, that means we win the game. So we get a card from the Capybara. And so we could play a Defendo on a Quidditch lesson to put him back at 5 power. Let's try it. Defendo on a Quidditch lesson. Wait, we should target the broom. If he lets us. I mean, it is a tournament, so he doesn't have to let us. So he needs to kill us this turn or get rid of a lot of creatures, which is really hard for a Quidditch deck. I don't. This card that he was playing, the new Slytherin Seeker. If there's a match when you play it, your opponent has to choose one of their creatures in play and discard it. But that's the only. Yeah, so he just passes and it's GG. It looks like there wasn't a lot of spell damage except for the new Slytherin Seeker. Okay, interesting. So this seems like a good matchup for our deck. So none of the cards in our sideboard really do anything. Filch doesn't do anything. Cauldron to Civ and Apoximize target lessons that he doesn't have. So he gets to choose who starts. So he's sideboarding, so he may have some cards to deal with our deck. Maybe he plays Quirrell in the sideboard. Of course, he's playing items, so that would also return his items, but still something he could play. Okay, so we each draw a starting hand of 7. I'm going to mulligan, but he decides first if he mulligans. Because we just didn't get enough power in this hand. And we shuffle. And we draw 7 cards. That's better. Better lesson count. And we may do a post-match talk as well. So he just plays 2 lessons like before. So that's good. Seems like he's getting very unlucky with the matches because he still didn't get one on his first turn. Which of course, like, you want to get the match out as soon as possible to start getting those extra actions. Now he got it. It's interesting that he got it that way both times. Okay. Well, we have to keep playing lessons to get closer to playing our cards. Getting it to 8, of course, means we can mess with this match, but before then, he'll get some extra actions. So he goes lesson, and I can't see what this card is. KT Bell. It says if there's a match in play, whenever a card does damage to you, it does 1 less damage. Okay, interesting. So that's a kind of tech against a lot of tiny sources of damage. Works well probably against small creatures. But I will say about this that because he's spending 2 actions to play her, it's very efficient for us to use a card like Defender to get rid of her. Although, as long with my creatures, I don't have to deal a lot of damage. I just need to deal enough damage. I just need to make sure that he doesn't deal damage by controlling his stuff, and then the creatures will slowly kill him. So I'm not sure we'll target her or not. And now we have to think if we want to play Lost Notes or Outpost. But I'm thinking Outpost because we want to get to that high power count to stop his match as soon as possible. And we got a Scribbly Force that we can use for that, so that's nice. So we pass back to him. But he gets another turn here with Angelina. Now, last time we were fortunate that he discarded his own match. He didn't have to do that. Okay, he's so. Okay, he has this broomstick compass that says if he has a broom in play, it provides 2 Quidditch. So with our deck, what we want to do is really target his broom and not discard. So then by targeting his broom, it's like we're destroying 2 cards. It's going to be my plan for that. So we draw our card for the turn. And the bludger doesn't deal damage yet. So now we can play a lesson. And then we're at 7 power, so we can play Scribbly Force. So we want to target the match, but do we also want to target Katie, or do we just not mind that much? I don't know, maybe it matters. Maybe it matters more than a lesson. No, I'm not convinced that it does. We'll target the match and a lesson. So he discards, and yeah, he discards the match and puts a Quidditch lesson back into his hand. Could mean that he already has another. Good question. So he drew one and played a lesson, so no match. Then I'm kind of curious why he discarded the match, because you really want a match with Angelina, otherwise you're not getting any value. Okay, so this seems like a good opportunity to get our damage on the board. So we play a Capybara and get a card. Wait, did our card disappear? Oh, there it is. that was weird. Okay. So we play another Capybara and get another card. Back to him. So far this is going great. Okay, he plays Through the Arc. So this one prevents us from playing spell cards. Oh, right, because there is no match, Katie doesn't doing anything. That's important. Yeah, he's right. So he played Through the Arc. It prevents us from playing spells. We can solve it by skipping a total of 4 actions. Now, of course, we don't want to do that. But we can get rid of it in that way if we need to. But let's not forget that we are McGonagall. So once per game, we can discard an adventure for free. So I think we just do that. And then we can play 2 Lost Notes on his lessons. And then we just discard 2 lessons. And we pass back to him. So unless he has another Through the Arc, we just gain a lot of time by that trade. Oh, he's playing Pep Talk. I don't think that's a good call. So, so we draw a card for the turn, and he's taking 6. So Pep Talk says the first action your opponent uses on each of his or her turns must be used to draw a card. And to solve it, your opponent shows you a card from his or her hand with a printed power needed of 8 more. But he knows that we're playing cards like that. So I'm not sure why he's including Pep Talk. And so we'll reveal Defendo. And so I can draw 2 cards if I want, which I will. And I think we just put more damage on the board. So I think the game is over now, but if he has a more Through the Arc, then we'll have to stop skipping actions. But the problem is I don't think he can get rid of all these creatures in time. Okay, drawing with both the actions is what he's doing, and we'll deal 10 to him. And we'll just play picking on Neville on a lesson. He's letting it go. He could have discarded 2 of the other cards that aren't doing things right now, but maybe he wants them for later. Get rid of a lesson. And we pass back to him. So if we place Quirrell, he can put all our creatures back in our hand. That only delays us. It doesn't stop the creatures from coming down again. So we'll deal 10 more. Alright, we're only at 7 power, so we have to play a lesson if we want to play this Invisible Ink. And back to him. good game. I will check if he wants to come on Discord and just talk about the match. Um, let me see. I need to add an audio source. Yeah, sorry, I haven't set up yeah, audio output source. Not sure what. Okay, I think this should work. Let me give it a test. So I'm gonna. Okay, I think this should work. Let me give it a test. So I'm gonna. Okay, I think this should work. Yeah. Okay, so it's working. Okay. Oh. Hello? Maybe I need to change my Discord setting as well.
Okay, take all the time you need.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
hear me?
Sweet. Yeah, I can hear you good.
Wonderful.
So you're welcome to the to the stream. There's two people watching you right now. One of them is me.
I was the one playing the really bad Quidditch deck. Hi.
Yeah, that was
honestly. I'm surprised. I'm surprised there are this many control decks in the meta. Like I went 0-2 against one my first match, and then I went 0-2 this match. So that's fun.
Yeah. So what problems did you run into in your other match?
Same as I did in this one. I just couldn't keep up with the tempo of, yeah, discard like 4 lessons a turn, and you know, discarding 4 lessons a turn isn't really helpful whenever.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you were playing against Carter then, because the guy that dropped, because I believe he was playing Invisible Ink as well.
Not Carter.
Okay, I guess someone else then. Okay, but that's interesting. I mean, I'm totally new to Revival, so this is just something based on what I've seen and my experience so far thought would be good in this kind of format, but I don't know. Last time I found my Achilles heel was like facing a lot of small creatures, so I need to add some sideboard stuff for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like so the problem here, I guess, was well, it was lessons, I guess, but it was also you know, like a lot of your cards, they trigger based on another card being in play. So if there's a control player, they they target the card that activates the other cards, and suddenly like half of the cards aren't doing anything because you're missing that other card in play. And it becomes really difficult.
I know. I think that's fair, because Broomstick Compass, Bludger, Fred and George. Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, but Fred and George is easy because it requires a Quidditch item. My deck is like half Quidditch items.
Oh, that
Broomstick Compass. Broomstick Compass needs a broom.
Yeah, that one is.
Bludger needs a match. Yeah.
Yeah. And the character, I don't remember her name as well. She was the same way.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think all of the characters in this deck require a match to be in play.
Yeah.
So I think the next step now to modify this deck after the tournament, or now if I decide to draw, is to add more matches.
Oh,
Because
yeah. I was wondering about that because like in both games you started with 2 lessons, but then you got your match like right after. Was that just coincidence?
yeah. No, I started with the match in hand, but I really think that doing a turn 1 lesson match against McGonagall probably wouldn't have been a good idea, because then I would have been already down a lesson.
Oh well, I can't start discarding lessons until turn 2. So
Yeah, but I mean, still, turn 1, even if you decide to double lesson, you're up two power from me.
yeah, but you get the action back like as soon as turn 2, right? So you can just play
That's fair.
3 lessons. Okay, so it was just I thought that you just top decked it, you know, both times, and I was like, this can't be possible. Okay, well that clears it up. All right, well, did you have any other thoughts on the game?
Not really. It's just there's a lot of creatures and this deck doesn't have a way to deal with them. I focus on dealing damage to you before you can deal enough damage to kill me.
Yeah.
And I think I need more ways to deal with that in the sideboard.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think my thoughts are kind of well, I don't know if Quirrell would be good because you're playing a lot of items. I was playing myself. I had on the channel an Angelina deck that could be ported to. Actually, you could play the exact same list in Revival, but I think the power curve for that one stops at 5 unless you want to play Catch the Snitch, and I guess there you get to start dealing damage earlier. So maybe the control decks have less time to sort of get their shit together and get up to the high, the power level that they want before taking too much damage. I don't know, just a spontaneous thought.
Yeah.
And also, I guess Through the Arc was a cool idea, especially if you have extra actions. Of course, McGonagall gets rid of the first one, so maybe it doesn't.
I was gonna say that's why I did Through the Arc first, and then Pep Talk, and then I forgot that Defendo had a power cost of 8 or more. So that was kind of on me.
I was so confused because I was like, but I have Invisible Ink and Defendo, so that's
I probably should have done it the other way around. But you play and you learn. You play and you learn.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I guess. I think regardless that the odds are high that I have an 8 cost card, especially in this deck. But yeah, you live and you learn, as you said. A lot of other decks in the format seem to only play 8 and higher cost cards to be able to solve Pep Talk, and for no other reason. But this one actually, like, just wants to be playing those cards.
Right.
Yeah. All right, man. Yeah. Do you want to chat about anything else, or do you want to leave it there?
I think I can leave it there because there's not really much else that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, that's fair. Well, it was fun playing.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll see you around.
Yep. See ya.
See you, man. All right. Let me turn off the audio capture again. All right. So oh wait, let me catch up to the stream. Sorry. Yeah. That can. So we did get a win today. So I guess our tournament hopes are still alive somewhat. I don't know exactly what result you need to be able to get into the top cut. Probably there is a chance if we win 2 more games, 2 more matches, but we'll see. but we got our first win today, and we'll continue on next time. So thank you for watching, and yeah, see you all next time.